Hey, I want to thank you for joining us on this edition of Polk Place. I'm Brian Lacey, and from the Genealogical Library, her name is Shannon Graham. How you doing?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Always good to see you.
Yeah, I know it's been a while.
Yeah, haven't seen you in a bit. Since you do the speaker series, we kind of hit those every 3 months, and then Christmas came, and then
I know.
And then I thought I saw you once. Evidently, I was mistaken.
Yes.
I'm like, hi. Anyways, so how you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of good things this year. We're revamping speaker series.
Yeah.
We do have something that's exciting that's new this year. So in the past, what we've done is I will send people the link, the Zoom link, if they're interested. But we've added to kind of streamline that process a registration link. So what people will see on our website now is a registration link that will automatically send the Zoom.
I saw there. I talked with Jamie earlier, and I mentioned some things I was trying to update the scripts and everything, and was looking for your number because I always put the wrong number in there. And I come across these new things. So from what I hear, our communications division is new, improved, lemon-scented, really cool stuff with the website for you guys.
Yes, yeah, it's been amazing. So they've added contact forms for us, which has been really nice. So if people have questions about the speaker series or just general history questions, they can just fill out that contact form, and we'll be in touch with them. So it's a great way to kind of streamline everything, make it easier for staff and for our patrons too. Have an easier line of communication. So
when we started bringing you in about 2 years ago, when you first started, the gig was you didn't book the whole year. We just kind of booked in advance. Where last year you booked the whole year in advance. So what's the story with the series this year? How far out did we go?
So I've gotten 8 months, but they're not in order. So kind of between the 10 that we do, I've got 8 months out, and then I think there's one in the spring and then maybe one in the summer that I haven't booked yet. So kind of whatever kind of works with the schedule. So hopefully next year we'll have a full year like the previous year, but I've got 2 left that I've got to book. So
Jamie likes to tease the things that you're going to do. She never tells us exactly what it's about. She'll just leave us a little, what do they call it, Easter egg? And her Easter egg about the upcoming for February is read all about it. Tell me about
I wonder what it could be.
Well, when she tipped the newsy cap, I was like, ding, 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 pick me. I know.
Yes, so February is going to be about newspapers. And kind of an interesting thing about newspapers is it's not the initial place that you would think to go for information, right? At least a lot of people, when they're starting off their genealogy research, they're thinking your basic records, like your census records, your birth and death records, that kind of stuff. But when you look at those newspaper records, it kind of it changes your perception on who you're looking at, right? It adds stories, it adds narrative, it kind of adds some depth to that person. So on February 28th, Mark Molinax is going to come, and he's going to be talking about the importance of newspapers and kind of how you can utilize them to learn more about your ancestors. And it's a cool thing too, because we at the History Center have tons of newspapers. We do have physicals, we have microfilm, and then staff has access to newspapers.com. And so I'm really excited because it's going to be a teaching over how to use newspapers, and then the people watching can almost immediately apply that knowledge to our own collection. So we've got local papers, so Polk County Democrat, which is a Bartow paper, is probably our biggest collection, but from all around Polk County, we have documents of that. So really exciting. And 2, we're also digitizing them. So right now we have the physicals, obviously all the physicals in the newspapers, and because of the paper quality of newspapers, it's really low quality paper. Obviously they're printing it right in mass.
Exactly.
And so it deteriorates. And so it's really been a priority in-house that we get that digitized, so that way people generations from now can use it. So we've been very slowly going through. We have a third party that we use, and we've been really digitizing those newspapers, and we're kind of in phase 2 of that project. So a lot of the newspapers have been digitized. We have them in-house, but our next goal is to make them more accessible. And so we're working kind of with the records department right now, and hopefully going to get those online so that people, you know, in their homes can access all of our old newspapers and really learn more about their ancestors. So.
And they say the only stupid question is the one that isn't asked, and I hope you don't think I'm stupid for asking this, but in the generation where we're at now, we use a search engine.
Right.
And AI comes up with something, or you've got the list.
Yeah.
You had mentioned the old microfiche.
Yeah.
Are you shooting from the hip on that and hoping that you just get to an era, a time frame, and got to go newspaper to newspaper? Or is there something that will lead you to a more, are you taking a shotgun approach or are you taking a rifle approach?
Are you talking about like when you have a specific
when you're looking
question?
for information, how is that used?
So it's all situational, of course. So for what we did previously, when we didn't have anything digitized, right? If you came in and you were like, hey, I'm looking for this event that's happening, I want to look at old newspapers. We obviously didn't have an index that would indicate to me, okay, this event happened on a specific day, so this is where you need to look. So in that case, what we would do is we would have to look at the broader context, right? Okay, so when did this event happen in history? Based on those dates, I'm going to go there in the newspaper. Same thing with family members, it's more difficult. We have a lot of obituary requests that say, okay, you know, I know my grandma died in 1979, but if you're flipping through every single piece of paper from 1979, obviously that's very time consuming, so you would go to other resources to find context clues that would kind of narrow that down. Okay. Now, like what you were saying with AI, it's been a really cool thing because when we digitize them, we use OCR, which is a recognition kind of interface that would help us when you like search things to pull up actual names. So we run it through the system essentially indexes it. So when you search it, it would populate. So let's say you're looking for that obituary of your grandma now, 1979. I could just type in her name, and then whatever matches that would come up in the newspaper that I just searched, those would pop up. So it's a lot easier for us now to search things versus previously you'd be having to manually search it. So yeah.
Say you go to that microfiche and you want to find, say, an obituary. Is there a way to print that? How would you get the copy of that?
So for our microfiche, we have 3 machines. We have 2 of them that are just the old hand rollers. Yep. And then we have one machine.
Like the old Etch-a-Sketch.
Yes. Yeah. So we have those 2, and then we have one that it's attached to one of our computers, so we'd be able to print from that one. Okay. And normally what we would do is staff just has usage of that one, the one that is attached to the computer. So we'd have someone, like a patron, come in, they would go through the microfilm, okay, write down the date for us, and then we as staff would go back and make sure to get the printed version on our own microfilm machine. So.
Well, as long as we're talking newspapers and the speaker, what is his background that he speaks from?
So I think he's predominantly just a researcher. A lot of our speakers, they come from different fields. It's really interesting. I feel like genealogy and research is one of those fields that a lot of people come to later in life. And so a lot of our speakers come from different fields and then they just kind of fall into it. So he's been researching a long time. Obviously using newspapers and different collections and things like that. He's from Florida, so it's going to be really exciting to have a Floridian. Sometimes we don't. We have a lot of speakers that are kind of from all around the country. So yeah, I'm excited to get his expertise on that, kind of get different perspectives on newspapers. It's a really nuanced topic, newspapers is, because it's very dependent on what areas are reporting. So if you are looking for specific types of information, you need to go to different newspapers. Yeah. If that makes sense. So you're obviously your local and your state and your national newspapers are all going to be reporting different things. So just figuring out, okay, which avenue and which newspaper is the best for answering my question.
From a genealogical standpoint, we're in an area of Florida where the newspapers are more localized. Yeah. When you go to a bigger municipality, Tampa, Orlando, are those, with as many, are those equally, are you immersed in that, however many forms of media that they have? Yeah, so it's interesting, and that's kind of going along with what I said about figuring out the context of it. So
those larger, Tampa and Orlando, those are going to be your two bigger ones, like you said. They do occasionally report Bartow, local Polk County things.
If it's something huge.
Right. If it's something huge, it depends. If you're earlier ones, sometimes if someone who is really important to Polk County is coming through Tampa, then they're going to be reporting all about it.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of figuring out, okay, at what level is this important to the broader Central Florida community? And the cool thing too is that those Tampa and Orlando, so we as staff have access to newspapers.com, which is like the sister website to Ancestry, and people can pay for that subscription, but we as a staff.
But it's easier to come see you.
Right, and so if you let us as staff know, okay, I've got a relative, they're going to be kind of in the Central Florida region, we can run it through newspapers and see, okay, what's Tampa, what's Orlando reporting at the time. And so what we're really working on, what we're really focused on is kind of supplementing that local, that the Polk County Democrat, that Bartow paper, and getting that online so that we can all have access to that. But yeah, I always encourage people to check as much as you can, because you never know, like sometimes things are just arbitrarily reported depending on, okay, is the newsroom slow that day? Well, okay, we'll just pull something from Bartow. So sometimes there's no really rhyme or reason as to why Bartow is being reported in Tampa and Orlando. So I say check everything.
Slow news day, as I used to say.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it is interesting because those earlier papers, they are so localized, right? It's amazing. Like our newspapers now focus more so nationally. But, you know, they're reporting movements of people who they think are important. So, you know, Ms. Betty Smith went to go hang out with her relatives in Tampa today.
Yeah.
And like, that's the paper. And for someone who's related to that person, that could be really exciting. So, yeah, it's a fun project. I love newspapers. We as staff always get sucked into newspapers. You never know what you're going to find. There's always fun things there. And you realize, reading the stories of those people in the newspapers, it's like, well, as people, we haven't really changed as much. You know, we've changed the methods of communication maybe and the ways that we're receiving it, but at the very foundation, like people have stayed relatively the same. So it's fun to see. It's fun to see a lot.
Well, you had mentioned the newspaper as a resource for the national. Now, not only do you guys, for the novice coming in, do you have that? Talk about some of the other resources that they don't have to pay for, that they can come and use with you.
Yeah, so the really cool thing about the Genealogical Library, and what a lot of people don't expect, is that we do have a lot of Polk County materials, right, obviously. But we do focus on kind of a national scale as well. So we do have collections from different states. And by that I mean we have bound books that kind of index primary source material. So if you're from Alabama and you come in and you're looking and you're trying to find your relatives, we have history books of certain counties. We have indexes of your marriage and your death certificates. We have histories of places. So that's a really great resource to use. It's free. You can have scans of books done or pages of books done. And it helps people kind of relate to the space more, right? Of course, you find something about your relatives. I'm from Arkansas, and I could find things about my relatives there. So in addition to those bound books, we have online resources too. So we have computers. You can access Ancestry and Family Search. So Family Search is free from home for anyone. You just have to make an account. And Ancestry is a paid subscription normally, but when you come into the library, you get it for free. And so those are great resources too, because obviously those databases cover national, sometimes international, and so it's really helpful for patrons to come in and use them, and then we as a staff are there to help when you have specific questions or you're kind of confused about where to go or how to approach it, because they are huge databases. So it can be a little intimidating sometimes when people are first approaching, right? I've got a database with millions and millions and millions of records, so where do I even start? So that's kind of where we come in and we help to figure out, okay, what questions do you have and how can we kind of fill those gaps so that you can find that answer. So we have those two. We've got a whole nother floor of archival materials. People don't see that a lot. And so one thing I always recommend for people when they're coming in, regardless of where they're from, is to let staff know, okay, what last names are you looking for? We have thousands of files that have last names. They're just like manila folders. Like I said, last name. And so people come in, I say, okay, who are you looking for? You're looking for John Smith? You're looking for whatever, my last name is Graham. So I go upstairs and I say, okay, what Smith folders do we have? What Graham folders do we have? Pull them. And there's not a guarantee, obviously, that that's your family member, but a lot of people find things in there. So that's a great resource to use as well. So lots of things. We got lots of stuff.
I'm sitting here like these are running through my mind, and I'm like, that's cool. I'm definitely. But I mean, to the novice, you guys are a great resource when it comes to do I spend this, or can I just make the trip to Bartow?
Yes,
and
exactly.
And find out there.
Yeah.
So we know newspapers is on the agenda for February.
Yep.
Talk about a couple different ones that we got coming up through the year.
Yeah, so March is going to be a really interesting one, and this is going to tie back to that ancestry conversation. So March, we're going to talk about family trees. So online family trees is that's a whole nother ballpark, a whole nother conversation. Essentially, when you're using these databases, you can create family trees. And there's a beauty to that because anybody can create a family tree. It's free, you can do whatever you want. Kind of the drawback of those is you don't have to substantiate anything. So I could say John Smith was my father, and I wouldn't be required to prove that through any type of documentation.
Okay.
So you might be looking for John Smith, and I've just said, okay, John Smith is my father, but you don't have any information to say, okay, that's the truth or that's not the truth. So what we're going to be talking about, Dawn Carlisle is going to be joining us in March on the 28th, and she's going to be talking about, okay, how can you kind of discern, okay, this is the truth, this might not be the truth. How can I figure out where this research is based and if I want to add it to my own family tree? So that'll be a really great one. We get a lot of people who come to us with information from family trees, and it's a great jumping off point, but you kind of have to take a bunch of different steps after just to ensure that the information you have is correct. So she'll be walking us through that, trying to figure out, okay, what steps should we take? How should we ensure that? So yeah, that'll be our next one. And then,
so March sounds fun, and then go ahead and let's go out on a limb, like that family tree.
Yeah.
Go out on a limb.
Nah.
And give us a brief note about April.
So April's not booked yet.
Oh.
But I will tell you one, and I can't remember what month it is, but this is going to be interesting. We're going to talk about AI.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that one is going to be. And like you said, you mentioned AI.
Man, that can grow a lot of legs too.
Yeah, you mentioned AI before, and AI, I mean, is kind of bleeding into everything, right?
Yeah.
But as far as the genealogy world, AI has been a really useful tool. And it's being used in these big databases, and they're running it through AI. So they're running historical documents through AI, and then it's making them searchable. So that's a great thing, right? Except when AI doesn't do it correctly, and then it's not a great thing.
Yeah. Misinformation.
So, yes, no, exactly. And so everything is kind of a coin, right? You've got your flip sides to it. But no, I'm very excited to see where that goes, because with the creation of AI and being used in Ancestry and Family Search, you have, actual millions of records that are now being put online that weren't previously, which is a great thing for a researcher. But again, it's that understanding of, I have to look at this critically, right? You can't take it at face value. You have to
trust yet verify.
Right, exactly. And so that's going to be a really good conversation. I think a timely one. We have a lot of people who come to me and are like, oh, like, obviously this is a scary thing, right? It's new, it's change, it's huge. And I tell them the same thing I just told you, is like, you have to be critical of it, but it can be a great tool when you utilize it correctly. So that'll be a great one. I think that one's in the fall. So I'll keep you updated about that one, but it'll be interesting.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's look at maybe April. Come back and we'll...
When I book someone?
Yeah, well, I mean, that'll be a little bit past April. But always good to see you.
Yeah.
And anytime that you want to share something with us, come back and see us. The seat is yours.
Thanks.
The Polk County Historical and Genealogical Library is a non-circulatory Polk County library, meaning visitors can utilize the books on the shelves, but they cannot be checked out, and they cannot leave the building. Now, they're located at 100 East Main Street in Bartow. The History Center is open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. You need more information on exhibits, events, the Genealogical Library, anything. Check them out on the web, polkhistorycenter.org, or give them a call, 863-534-4604. If you enjoyed that episode of Polk Place, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and even check out the next one.